For the last number of years, the American media has been obsessed. The press corps is obsessed with Republican disinformation and misinformation, and it's all Russia all the time. And now they themselves are participating in gaslighting the American public to save their precious. We begin with Karine Jean-Pierre, the worst White House press secretary in American history.
Yeah, and I think you all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith, and some of your news organization have been very clear, have stressed that these the right wing critics of the president have a credibility problem because of the fact checkers have repeatedly caught them pushing misinformation, disinformation, and so we see this, and this is something coming from your part of the world, calling them cheap fakes and misinformation.
Cheap fakes and misinformation. What is it? What are they so upset about? They're upset about a video of Joe Biden on stage in Los Angeles at a fundraiser. Now, I am playing this video here and I'm watching it, and you see a stage go back. The crowd is cheering. There's Jimmy Kimmell and Barack Obama and Joe Biden on stage, and Joe Biden freezes on stage. Barack Obama gently reaches over, grabs his hand, pulls him in his direction, and then walks with him with his hand on Joe Biden's back the entire time, leaning into him. And when they get off stage, he pats Joe Biden on the back as if good job. But he literally keeps his hand on Joe Biden until they are completely off stage, pushing Joe Biden forward. Now, every single person who has an infirmed elderly parent knows that. It's the exact same gesture Prime Minister Meloni did in Italy when she reached over to Joe Biden and pulled him back. Joe Biden, in that video, as I said at the time, was actually looking at American paratroopers and talking to American paratroopers who were there. But what was notable is that if you saw that video, Emmanuel Macron gestures with his head to Prime Minister Meloni, who then begins to go to Joe Biden as other leaders then head towards Joe Biden. She pulls him back very gingerly, and the other leaders begin to surround Joe Biden and push him in a particular direction. Every single person with an infirmed elderly parent knows that maneuver. They're not just a tap on the shoulder, but a hand on the shoulder, directing, gingerly, carefully directing. Everyone knows that who has an elderly, infirm parent. It's what Barack Obama did. That video of Barack Obama and Joe Biden on stage came from a Hollywood reporter employee who was there at the event reporting. The guy's name is Chris Gardner. He put up the video and he says this: that's a wrap on record-setting Democratic fundraiser for Joe Biden's reelection campaign, netting $28 million. Former President Barack Obama and President Joe Biden offer final waves to Peacock Theater crowd as Obama then grabs Biden's hand to lead him off stage following a 40-minute conversation with Jimmy Kimmel. Literally does grab him by the hand, pull him in the direction, puts his hand on Joe Biden's back and pushes him forward the whole time. And as they get closer to being off stage, lowers his hand down to the middle of Joe Biden's back to keep him going undistracted. Every single person with an infirmed elderly parent knows what this is. You saw it with Giorgia Meloni, you saw it with Barack Obama, and the response from not just the White House, but from the American press corps is that this is edited video footage, that this distorts what happened. Straight from the MSNBC state-run media is Nicole Wallace, serving as the Iraqi information minister.
Edited videos of President Biden directly from Republican National Committee social media accounts, and then use those videos to spread messages virally to cast doubt on President Biden's fitness for office. Here is this headline from the New York Post, quote, Biden appears to freeze up, has to be led off stage by Obama. at Megabucks LA fundraiser. The full video, posted by Biden finance chair on Twitter, shows something entirely different. Biden reacting to applause and then walking off stage with former President Obama. It comes less than 1 week after the New York Post made a cover out of another piece of deceptively edited tape, calling him meanderer-in-chief due to what they claim was Biden walking away during a skydiving demonstration during the G7 summit last week.
Clearly, the demands have gone up for the White House, and Nicole Wallace is swallowing everything they're giving her and regurgitating it on national television. By the way, what's so notable is when she says that the Democratic finance chair, here's his tape, he's at an angle where you can't see Barack Obama reaching over to grab Joe Biden's hand. He's to the left of him, so it just looks like Barack Obama turned to Joe Biden. You can't see him reach out his hand and pull his arm, and then they cut it so you can't then see that he actually was holding Joe Biden's hand until he moved his arm up to push him along for the backside. So MSNBC, on behalf of the White House, runs selectively edited video at an angle so you can't see all the details and says that's the truth, and that the video that actually shows you unedited, uncut what happened, that's the lie. They're going all in. Here's MSNBC's Michael Steele.
Guess what? Fact checkers can't catch up or keep up. The problem is you have mainstream media outlets that are, as you mentioned before, the Wall Street Journal, in their own ways perpetuating this. So
right.
It gives an air of legitimacy to some of this. And before you have a chance to come back and say, wait a minute, Wall Street Journal, what the hell are you doing? You know that's not what this
right.
is. Why don't you come clean about it? It's already been placed up on X, right? A platform that Elon Musk said, hey, lie as much as you want. We don't care.
Isn't that brilliant? You have Comcast employees. And by the way, Comcast has some responsibility here. They own this network. Comcast employees lecturing you on disinformation and misinformation and lying to you. We, on the right, ran the unedited video of Joe Biden on that stage with Barack Obama. And it was MSNBC in the White House that pushed the edited, abridged video so you couldn't see the whole scene. The fact that they're having to spend time on this as well, say, no, don't believe the unedited footage, believe our edited footage. The fact that they have to do this, the fact that they have to rattle the sabers at Comcast to get MSNBC to do, state-run propaganda for them. After all the lectures on disinformation and misinformation, they are who they've become, who they claim to hate. But they did this with Hunter Biden, too. They did this with Hunter Biden and Hunter Biden's laptop. All of the media outlets that are blasting the New York Post now at the time were glad that Twitter censored the New York Post and their account. It was New York Post, not New York Times. Censored the New York Post. They were glad that they shut down the New York Post's account on social media for daring to expose the Hunter Biden laptop contents. The propagandists in the media who warn you about disinformation and misinformation are some of the biggest peddlers of disinformation and misinformation, and they put on their payroll the people who lied about Hunter Biden's laptop, claiming it was Russian disinformation. The people who claim, is it not just such great projection? The people who claim that they're the honest ones telling you the truth are the ones who are lying. The people who lecture you on disinformation and misinformation are engaged in disinformation and misinformation. The people who tell you Republicans are editing videos of Joe Biden are the ones actually editing the videos of Joe Biden to make him look good. Makes you wonder how many drugs they're going to have to inject into him or make him swallow and force down his throat or up his nose to get him to a position of coherence and stamina on a debate stage against Donald Trump. What we're seeing here is an American press corps that is so in desperate need to protect their precious. They're willing to lie. They're willing to deceive. They're willing to gaslight you. Back in 2016, gaslighting was all the thing. It comes from a play where there was a gas flame, and the wife would see the gas flame, and the husband would convince her she didn't see it. It was turned into an old black and white movie. She'd see the gas flame, and he'd convince her she didn't see it. That's where the word gaslighting comes from this old play. And in 2016, the media lectured everyone about Donald Trump gaslighting America, telling America that what they were seeing wasn't real. And now the role has reversed. Everyone can see for themselves the video of Barack Obama having to grab Joe Biden's hand and pull him and then place his hand, move it to place it on his back to continue to propel him along off the stage in Los Angeles. Everyone could see Giorgia Meloni having to walk over to Joe Biden and gingerly take him by the elbow and turn him around and point him in the right direction and surround him with other leaders so he didn't wander off. Everybody could see it with their own eyes. And everyone with an infirmed elderly parent suffering dementia knows exactly what that is and what it looks like. And you see it with your own eyes. And the press, not just the White House, not just the political operation, but the press itself in the United States that lectures us on misinformation and disinformation and lies and telling the truth, they're the ones who are doing it. They are the ones who are lying. They are the ones who are gaslighting. They're so scared of Donald Trump becoming president of the United States, they're willing to pull out all the stops to stop him. They're willing to lie. They're willing to cheat. They may in 2024 be willing to steal. Some of you thought it was in 2020. It's remarkable that this is the American press corps. This is what it's become. So desperately afraid of the second coming of Donald Trump that they will become everything they claim to loathe, that they will do everything they claim to hate, and that the paragons of virtue and the censorious lectures of disinformation and misinformation will engage in disinformation and misinformation. It's remarkable. These are the times in which we live, where the press, particularly MSNBC and NBC itself, which claims to be not of the partisanship that MSNBC is, but Comcast, NBC, and MSNBC in particular are the chief propagandists for this administration. They are regime media. They are in-house press organs for Joe Biden. More than any other news outlet, including CNN and the New York Times, the NBC news networks are worst of all leg humpers of the Biden administration, willing to lie to you and then tell you not to believe your own eyes over what's happening with Joe Biden. All you have to do is watch the video. Joe Biden is an over 80-year-old man suffering the infirmities of his age and clearly has a little dementia and had to be led off stage by Barack Obama. And I'll tell you one more thing. Given that interaction and how Barack Obama had to handle getting him off stage, you know what's going through Barack Obama's mind right now. This man cannot be the Democratic nominee. But there's not really any way that Barack Obama can stop him because Joe Biden already has the delegates and they're bound to him. They're going to have to do something if they want him to not to run.